Longtime community leader Betty Kinser has died. The educator, political activist, and community servant shed a bright light on the community for decades. WGLT's Charlie Schlenker has this appreciation on the life of Betty Kinser.
Lots and lots of people are remembering Betty Kinser fondly, not only for her many contributions, but her vivid personality.
She was such an incredible woman.
Betty was always one of those special people that you can't forget.
Vivacious and gregarious, she had several lives, right?
Well, she always had the greatest enthusiasm. She was a bundle of energy. She was just wonderful to be around.
Just an incredible person.
Those were McLean County Democratic Party Chair Patrick Cortese, former congressional candidate Mike Kelleher, former Illinois State University Trustees Chair Mike McCuskey, former Bloomington Mayor, County Board member, and congressional candidate Terry Renner, and former ISU student trustee Aaron Von Qualen. Kinser spent decades at Illinois State University in various roles in the College of Fine Arts, but she also briefly taught high school art. One of her students was Mike Kelleher. He tells the story of her noticing another student cheating by copying from Kelleher.
Of course, I was a freshman at the time, and this kid would have beat me up if I had told on him. So Betty was so tough, and she called this kid out, and she told him that he shouldn't do that. And of course, I just loved how vivacious and gregarious she was.
Kinser was energized by the congressional campaign of her former student 24 years ago when Kelleher ran for office. Former Bloomington Mayor Terry Renner says that was the start of a big contribution by Kinser.
She learned, and a lot of people did in the Kelleher campaign of 2000, kind of cut their teeth. And then they became the energy of what really brought us to a two-party system in McLean County.
Renner says Kinser helped take the county from a time when the balance on the county board was 17 Republicans and 3 Democrats to what is now a 10-10 split. Kinser ran a couple of times for county board and served as co-chair of the County Democratic Party. And current County Democratic Party Chair Patrick Cortese says Kinser got into politics with the jubilance in which she did everything.
Helped run elections. She organized some of our fundraising dinners, much like she did with everything she took a part in. She gave it everything she had and then some.
Cortese says very few people could keep up with Kinser. The joy she took in doing things inspired people to do likewise.
Her willingness to do what it takes was incredible and inspirational. We're going to miss her.
Kinser was a go-to person to get things done all the way from step A to Z, and projects both at a high-level strategic sense and just the grinded-out things that have to be done. Renner says, for example, on his own congressional campaign.
For example, if you're trying to get mailers out, you've got to get volunteers to get in there to say, okay, we've got well over 100,000 cards that have to be addressed and make sure that the stamps are on them. And that is a very large operation. Betty was tireless in making sure that things didn't slip through the cracks.
Kinser strengthened the Democratic Party statewide, too, a lot. It's not everyone who, when they get sick, gets flowers sent by both Senator Dick Durbin and then-Senator Barack Obama. Another big aspect of Kinser's life and dedication was Illinois State University. Aaron Von Qualen was the student trustee when Kinser was appointed by the governor to serve on that board. Von Qualen says Kinser lived and breathed ISU.
Every sporting event for a long time I went to, Betty was right there. She was always wearing red. She drove a red Mitsubishi back in the day. She always had one of those Redbird tattoos on her face at the football games. I mean, she was Illinois State to a T.
Von Qualen says Kinser mentored him. She had lunch once a month. He says those were amazing times. She picked up the tab. Von Qualen says he learned a lot about professionalism from Kinser.
Just her thoughtfulness, her caringness, the professionalism that she brought to the board. And as you can imagine, sometimes debates and negotiations can get a little intense, depending on what the topic was, but I think she had a way of calming the board a little bit and bringing us back to focus on the best interest of Illinois State University and the students, faculty, and staff. And she had a profound way of doing that.
Another ISU trustee was Mike McCuskey. Now, when you get into a room crammed with a bunch of bigwigs, there's a natural center around which people orbit. You might think McCuskey would be that center. For example, he's currently the Legislative Inspector General for the state of Illinois. But McCuskey says when Kinser was in the room, the center was not him.
If you were around Betty, she attracted the crowd, she attracted the friends and the people, and then she introduced me to them. So the fact that I was a federal judge or chairman of the board of trustees wasn't a big deal when you're around Betty, because she had probably thousands of friends.
That's not to say Kinser sought the limelight or tried to take over. McCuskey says Kinser was just so genuine a person it happened as people responded to her warmth. He says you should not let the warmth disguise Kinser's steely determination. She had a serious stroke while on the board. McCuskey says he happened to visit her in the hospital the day she began to walk again, something doctors weren't sure would happen.
Always had a smile, always in a good mood. Even when she, had almost died with this stroke, and she's trying to get up and do her first steps. I know it was painful, but Betty wasn't going to let you think that she was anything but Betty with a smile.
Kinser did recover. She returned to the ISU board and to full activity in the community. Having packed 5 lives into one, she leaves behind a political party, a family, a community, a state, and a university made much better for her work and energy. Betty Kinser was 83. I'm Charlie Schlenker.